Have you ever wondered how different your life could have been if you had the wisdom to face life's challenges with calm and clarity from the start? Imagine if you had the tools to control your emotions, focus on what truly matters, and find peace in even the most turbulent times. What if you could go back and whisper to your younger self the secrets of Stoicism, timeless principles that have helped countless individuals navigate life's hardships with resilience and inner strength? In our youth, we often chase illusions of success, lose ourselves in negative emotions, and worry about things beyond our control. We are anxious, fearful of failure, and haunted by our past. But what if you could remind yourself that at this very moment, you hold the power to change your life? The truth is, Stoicism has been offering these answers for thousands of years. If only we had known sooner. Today, we will uncover the hidden secrets of Stoicism, the principles that can not only change your perspective, but also transform the way you live. Through these 8 foundational tenets, you will learn to discipline your mind, let go of what you cannot control, and live a life of true meaning and peace. Stay with me on this journey, and together, we will explore the wisdom that could have reshaped your life and that can now guide you towards a more tranquil, fulfilling existence. Are you ready to unlock the true power within you? 1. Focusing on what can be controlled. How much of your life do you spend worrying about things you cannot control? Whether it's a relationship that didn't work out, a promotion you didn't get, or the opinions of others, our minds are often preoccupied with matters beyond our reach. This is one of the most liberating insights of Stoicism. We only have control over our own actions, thoughts, and responses. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound idea encourages us to shift our focus inward. Consider the countless hours of anxiety you've experienced, fretting over circumstances you couldn't change. How many of those moments of stress were caused by your desire to control the uncontrollable? Stoicism teaches that true peace lies in recognizing the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. You cannot control the weather, but you can control your attitude towards it. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control your own behavior. This philosophy invites us to ask ourselves, how much more peace could I experience if I simply let go of the need to control external outcomes? Imagine you're caught in a storm. Your initial reaction may be frustration or fear, but what if instead you embraced the situation for what it is? You cannot change the storm, but you can decide how you will face it. Will you let it ruin your day, or will you find calm within, knowing that your peace of mind is not dependent on external forces? Take a moment to reflect on areas of your life where you've been focusing on things outside your control. Is it a difficult colleague at work, the state of the economy, or a personal relationship? Ask yourself, what can I do within my own sphere of influence to improve my situation? Stoicism is not about passive acceptance, but about actively choosing how you respond to life's inevitable ups and downs. The power of this mindset lies in the freedom it offers, the freedom to respond, rather than react, to life's challenges. Think of Michael Phelps, the legendary swimmer who achieved monumental success despite facing immense pressure. Instead of focusing on the competition or media expectations, Phelps concentrated on what he could control: his own preparation, technique, and mindset. By applying Stoic principles, he found peace amidst the storm of expectations and pressure, turning his focus inward to achieve greatness. Now, consider this. What would your life look like if you focused only on what you could control? How much energy would you save? How much more peaceful and centered would you feel? This is the essence of Stoicism, mastering the art of control over oneself and letting go of the rest. As we move forward, keep this principle in mind, for it lays the foundation for the other Stoic secrets we will explore together. When we master this first principle, we begin to see the world not as something to be controlled, but as something to be accepted and navigated with wisdom. 2. Acceptance of impermanence. Why do we cling so desperately to the things we know will not last? Whether it's the vibrant days of youth, the security of a job, or the presence of loved ones, we often find ourselves trying to grasp tightly at moments that are, by nature, fleeting. The Stoics understood this truth deeply. Life is ever-changing, and impermanence is woven into the fabric of existence. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." If we accept that life is constantly evolving, why do we still fear loss and change? What if we could train ourselves to not just accept impermanence, but to find peace and even beauty in it? Imagine a leaf in autumn. Its time on the branch is limited. In summer it was lush and green, but now it turns gold, ready to fall to the ground. Can we prevent this leaf from withering? Can we stop time from moving forward? Of course not. And yet, in the face of such inevitability, many of us resist life's transitions. We mourn what was, dread what will be, and lose the ability to appreciate what is. Acceptance of impermanence is one of the core tenets of Stoicism. It teaches us that everything in life is transient. Whether it's a joyful moment or a painful one, it will pass. Think about the hardships you've experienced. At the time, they may have felt insurmountable, but looking back, didn't you grow stronger from those trials? Similarly, the successes and pleasures you once enjoyed have likely faded into memory, but each moment, in its passing, has shaped who you are today. Let's consider the example of Steve Jobs, a visionary who experienced one of life's harshest lessons in impermanence. In 1985, he was famously fired from Apple, the company he had founded. For many, such a loss would have felt like the end. Yet, instead of wallowing in despair, Jobs accepted this change as part of his journey. He went on to create Pixar and Next, ventures that ultimately shaped the future of Apple itself. Without embracing the impermanence of his situation, Jobs may never have discovered the path that led him back to his life's greatest work. What does this mean for you? How often do you resist change in your own life? Do you cling to the past, whether it's an old job, a failed relationship, or even the fading glow of youth? Stoicism asks us to shift our perspective. Instead of fearing the natural ebb and flow of life, we must embrace it. After all, if everything remained the same, there would be no growth, no progress, no renewal. The Stoics also remind us to live fully in the present, because it's the only time we truly have control over. You cannot change the past, nor can you predict the future. By focusing on the present, we learn to appreciate life as it unfolds, moment by moment, with all its joys and sorrows. And when we finally accept that all things are impermanent, we release ourselves from the anxiety of trying to hold on to what cannot be held. How would your life change if you stopped fighting impermanence and started embracing it instead? What if, rather than mourning the inevitable passage of time, you learned to find peace in the process? The Stoics believed that by accepting the transient nature of all things, we gain the freedom to live without fear, and instead, with gratitude for the time we are given. As we move into the next lesson, remember that impermanence is not your enemy, but your teacher. It teaches you to cherish the present, to let go of unnecessary attachments, and to find peace in the ever-changing flow of life. 3. Self-discipline, the foundation of freedom. What would your life look like if you could control your impulses and desires with complete mastery? Stoicism teaches that self-discipline is the foundation upon which all virtues are built. Without it, how can we ever hope to control our actions, thoughts, and emotions? We live in a world full of distractions and temptations, pulling us in every direction. Whether it's the urge to overindulge in unhealthy habits, procrastinate on important tasks, or give in to fleeting desires, we often find ourselves struggling to maintain focus and consistency. But the Stoics understood that true freedom comes not from indulging in these desires, but from mastering them. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of self-control and consistency in the face of life's temptations. He believed that by mastering the self, we can free ourselves from the tyranny of our own impulses. But self-discipline is not easy. It requires reflection, the willingness to forsake temporary pleasures for long-term goals, and above all, loyalty to the values we hold dear. Ask yourself, how many times have you regretted giving in to a momentary temptation? Whether it's indulging in unhealthy food, skipping a workout, or procrastinating on an important project, these small lapses in discipline can have a cumulative effect on our lives. Stoicism teaches that each of these moments is an opportunity for growth. Every time we say no to a fleeting desire, we are saying yes to our higher self, our goals, and our long-term well-being. Consider the act of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. It's not enough to simply desire good health. You must actively practice self-discipline to achieve it. Whether it's choosing nourishing food over junk food or sticking to a regular exercise routine, these small daily acts of discipline are what build a healthy body and mind. Without consistency, both your physical and mental health deteriorate over time. The same principle applies to your professional life. Success is not a matter of luck. It's the result of sustained effort and discipline. The most successful people in any field are not necessarily the most talented, but the most disciplined. They show up every day, put in the work, and resist the distractions that could lead them astray. Have you ever wondered if you have enough self-discipline to achieve your long-term goals? Stoicism asks us to look deeply within ourselves and question whether we are truly committed to living according to our values. Are you willing to sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term fulfillment? Are you willing to break bad habits and create new, more virtuous ones? Self-discipline is not just about resisting temptation. It's about actively choosing a life of meaning, purpose, and virtue. By mastering your desires, you free yourself from the chains of impulsivity and create the foundation for a life well lived. As we move to the next principle, take a moment to reflect on your own life. Where could you apply more self-discipline? What small steps can you take today to begin mastering your impulses and focusing on your long-term goals? 4. Letting go of the past. How often do you find yourself reliving past mistakes or dwelling on missed opportunities? The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminds us that if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. In other words, the suffering we experience is often a result of our own attachment to past events, rather than the events themselves. But why do we cling so tightly to these moments? The past is something that cannot be changed. No amount of regret or reflection can alter what has already occurred. And yet, we allow ourselves to be shackled by it, replaying moments of failure or disappointment, wishing we had acted differently. But what if we could choose to let go of this mental burden? What if, instead of letting the past define us, we used it as a stepping stone toward personal growth? Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychologist and Holocaust survivor, understood this principle deeply. During his time in the concentration camps, he witnessed unimaginable suffering. Yet, he came to the profound realization that even in the most dire circumstances, we have one final freedom: the ability to choose our attitude in any given situation. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." For Frankl, letting go of the past was not about forgetting, but about refusing to allow it to dictate his present and future. Stoicism teaches us that clinging to the past only robs us of the present. We can choose at any moment to reinterpret the events that haunt us. Imagine carrying a heavy bag of stones on your back, each stone representing a past mistake, regret, or painful memory. Now imagine that you have the choice to drop that bag at any time. Wouldn't it feel liberating to let go of that weight and move forward freely? Think about your own life. What burdens are you carrying from the past? Are you allowing a mistake to define who you are today? Are you holding on to a regret that no longer serves you? The Stoics invite us to release these attachments and to focus on the present moment, the only time in which we truly have power. Letting go doesn't mean denying or ignoring the past. It means acknowledging it, learning from it, and then choosing to move forward without being held captive by it. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The strength to release the past lies within you. It is a matter of choice, of perspective, and of recognizing that your past does not determine your future." As we transition to the next principle, ask yourself, what would your life look like if you could let go of the past? How much lighter, freer, and more peaceful would you feel? By embracing this Stoic wisdom, you can begin to live fully in the present and open yourself to new possibilities. 5. Making the right decisions. Have you ever faced a difficult decision and wondered, am I making the right choice? In Stoic philosophy, the process of making decisions is not about achieving a desired outcome, but about aligning your choices with virtue. Virtue, in the Stoic sense, means living in accordance with reason, wisdom, courage, and justice. But how often do we make decisions based on these principles? How often do we let our emotions cloud our judgment, or let the opinions of others sway our choices? The Stoics believed that right decisions come from clarity of mind and control of emotions. It's easy to make choices when we are driven by immediate rewards or the avoidance of discomfort, but these decisions often lead to regret. Instead, Stoicism urges us to consider whether our choices are in alignment with the highest good. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of virtue in decision-making, urging us to act with integrity, not for the sake of external validation, but because it is the right thing to do. Do what needs to be done, he wrote, without fear or self-interest. In every choice, Stoicism asks us to pause and reflect. Is this action rooted in wisdom? Is it courageous? Is it just? Consider a difficult decision you might be facing right now. It could be a career choice, a relationship decision, or even a moral dilemma. Stoicism invites you to step back from the emotional immediacy of the moment and ask yourself, what would a wise person do? What choice aligns most closely with the values of integrity, courage, and justice? By making decisions based on virtue, rather than emotion or convenience, we ensure that our choices lead to long-term peace of mind. A powerful historical example is Abraham Lincoln's decision to sign the Emancipation Proclamation. Lincoln understood that this decision, while controversial and fraught with opposition, was a necessary step toward justice and human freedom. He did not make this choice lightly, nor did he make it for personal gain. He acted out of a deep commitment to justice, even though he knew the road ahead would be difficult. Stoicism teaches us that the right decision is often not the easy one. It may require sacrifice, courage, and perseverance. But when we act in alignment with virtue, we can rest in the knowledge that we have done what is right, regardless of the outcome. This sense of integrity, this commitment to doing what is morally sound, brings us closer to inner peace and fulfillment. As we move to the next principle, consider this. How do you approach the decisions in your life? Do you base them on virtue, or are they swayed by fear, comfort, or external pressures? When faced with tough choices, are you willing to choose the harder, more virtuous path, even if it means temporary discomfort? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's reflect together on how we can make decisions that align with our deepest values. 6. Facing adversity, the true test of character. Life is full of challenges, and it's often in these moments of difficulty that we reveal our true character. The Stoics believed that adversity is not something to be avoided or feared, but embraced as an opportunity to grow stronger. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." But how often do we see adversity as a curse, something to escape from as quickly as possible? Consider the challenges you've faced in your own life. Have you ever stopped to ask, what can I learn from this hardship? How can I grow through this experience? Stoicism teaches that life's obstacles are not roadblocks, but stepping stones to personal development. Each challenge we face is an opportunity to cultivate patience, courage, and resilience. Nelson Mandela, who was imprisoned for 27 years for his fight against apartheid, is a powerful example of someone who turned adversity into strength. Rather than allowing those years in prison to embitter him, Mandela used that time to deepen his resolve, strengthen his spirit, and emerge as a global symbol of justice and reconciliation. Stoicism reminds us that it's not the adversity itself that defines us, but how we respond to it. When adversity strikes, do you find yourself overwhelmed, or do you see it as a chance to build character? Do you let setbacks discourage you, or do you use them as fuel to rise stronger? The Stoics believed that every hardship carries with it the seeds of growth. By facing adversity with courage and equanimity, we transform it from a source of suffering into a powerful teacher. What would your life look like if you viewed every challenge as an opportunity? How would you approach difficulties if you knew that, by enduring them with grace and patience, you were becoming stronger? Stoicism teaches us to embrace hardship, not with fear, but with gratitude for the lessons it offers. As we move forward, take a moment to reflect on the challenges you are currently facing. What can you learn from them? How can you use them to become a better, wiser, and more resilient person? Adversity is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The choice is yours. 7. Living with integrity, the foundation of a meaningful life. What does it mean to live a life of integrity? In Stoicism, integrity is not just a virtue, but the foundation upon which a meaningful life is built. To live with integrity is to align your actions with your principles, to be true to your values even when no one is watching. But how often do we compromise our integrity for convenience, comfort, or approval? Integrity is about consistency between what you believe and how you behave. In our daily lives, we face countless small decisions that test our integrity. Imagine, for instance, receiving extra change from a cashier who made a mistake. Would you keep the money or return it? No one would know if you kept it, but you would know. And it's in these small moments that your integrity is truly tested. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, whoever is free from falsehood, pretenses, and hypocrisy has nothing to hide and nothing to fear. Living with integrity also means being honest with yourself. How often do we rationalize our behavior or make excuses for our actions, knowing deep down that we're not acting in accordance with our values? Stoicism urges us to be vigilant in our self-awareness, to examine our motives and ensure that they are rooted in virtue rather than self-interest. Let's take a historical example: Abraham Lincoln. Throughout his presidency, Lincoln faced immense pressure and difficult decisions, particularly during the Civil War. One of the most significant of these was his decision to sign the Emancipation Proclamation, effectively ending slavery in the United States. This was not an easy choice, nor was it a popular one at the time. But Lincoln's deep commitment to justice and human freedom guided his decision. He chose to act with integrity, even though it came with great personal and political risk. Now, think about your own life. Where are the moments in your daily routine that test your integrity? Is it at work when you're tempted to cut corners? Is it in relationships where it might be easier to withhold the truth to avoid conflict. Stoicism teaches that integrity is not just about the grand gestures, but about the small, everyday decisions that reflect who we are at our core. What would happen if you committed to living with unwavering integrity in every aspect of your life? What if, no matter the situation, you chose to act in alignment with your highest values? It may not always be easy, but Stoicism assures us that the reward is a life of inner peace and self-respect. When you live with integrity, you free yourself from the burden of pretending to be someone you're not. You stand firm in who you are, and that is the ultimate source of strength. As we transition to the next principle, ask yourself, where in my life can I practice greater integrity? What values are most important to me, and how can I ensure that my actions consistently reflect them? By living with integrity, you not only create a meaningful life for yourself, but you also become a beacon of trust and respect for those around you. 8. Maintaining balance, the key to a harmonious life. In today's fast-paced world, how often do you feel pulled in 1,000 different directions? Between work, family, social obligations, and personal goals, it can feel as though we are constantly juggling too many responsibilities. But what if you could achieve a sense of balance that allows you to maintain inner stability, even amidst the chaos? Stoicism teaches that balance is essential for a harmonious life. Balance does not mean doing everything perfectly. It means prioritizing what truly matters and letting go of what is unnecessary. The Stoics believed in moderation in all things, a concept known as sophrosyne, which refers to self-control and the ability to live a measured, balanced life. Ask yourself, how often do you prioritize the wrong things? How much of your time and energy is spent chasing wealth, status, or approval, rather than focusing on what brings you true peace and fulfillment? Stoicism reminds us that these external pursuits, while tempting, often disrupt our inner balance and lead to dissatisfaction. Consider the life of Oprah Winfrey, who, despite her incredible success, has always emphasized the importance of maintaining balance. Oprah has spoken about how she learned to manage her demanding career alongside her personal life, and how finding time for self-care, reflection, and relationships has been key to her lasting happiness. Even at the height of her fame, she made it a priority to nurture her inner life, recognizing that without balance, success means little. Stoicism urges us to constantly reflect on our priorities. Are you spending your time in ways that align with your values? Are you making space for the things that truly matter, like family, personal growth, and health? When we lose sight of balance, we not only harm ourselves, but we also neglect the relationships and responsibilities that matter most. Imagine your life as a set of scales. On one side are the external demands, work, obligations, and societal pressures. On the other side are the internal needs, rest, reflection, and relationships. When the scales tip too far toward the external, we lose our sense of peace. But when we consciously maintain balance, we create a life that is both productive and fulfilling. So, how can you bring more balance into your life? Start by identifying what is most important to you. What activities, people, or values make you feel grounded? What could you let go of in order to focus more on these priorities? Stoicism teaches us that we must be willing to make difficult choices in order to maintain balance. Sometimes that means saying no to external demands or stepping back from commitments that no longer serve us. As we conclude this section, remember that balance is not a destination, but a practice. It requires constant adjustment, reflection, and the willingness to prioritize what is truly meaningful. By living a life of balance, you cultivate a sense of peace and fulfillment that no external achievement can provide. Now that you've explored these Stoic principles, I encourage you to reflect on how you can begin applying them in your own life. Which principle resonated with you the most? Is there an area of your life where you could focus more on what you can control, let go of the past, or live with greater integrity? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue the conversation and support one another in our journey towards Stoic wisdom. If you found value in these teachings, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more insights on Stoic philosophy and personal growth. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, the path to inner peace and fulfillment is always within your reach when you choose to live by these timeless Stoic values. I look forward to continuing this exploration with you, and until next time, may you find strength, clarity, and balance in all that you do.